Okay, so hey, I'm here with Atul Mulji,
Hi.
and we are in not so sunny today, Lisbon. And Atul is a yoga instructor and a body worker, and I know he travels a lot to Goa and India and further afield. So I've met him in Lisbon to catch up with him and find out a little bit more about what he does and the depths of his work. So hi Atul, thank you so much
Hi, thank
for
you
coming.
for receiving me as well.
Thank you. So, yes, please tell us a little bit more about what you do, the kind of work that you do.
Mhm. So I'm focused basically in holistic therapies through yoga and Ayurveda. So these are my
Okay.
main areas of interest because they, in a way, are connected. Also, they are sister sciences. Because
Yes.
yoga is for the mind, it's not for the body. Ayurveda is for the body. So I deal with both, and they both help and complement each other as well.
Okay.
So in terms of Ayurveda, I'm not a medical doctor in Ayurveda. I deal with massage and therapies, and I can suggest people about the lifestyle changes, about diet, habits. This is what I do in terms of Ayurveda. And in yoga, I'm an instructor in yoga. I do retreats, workshops. I organize them. I give them myself as well.
Okay.
So that's how it goes.
And I saw that you have an up and coming workshop, which is an Ayurveda Body Works workshop. You
Yeah.
talk us a bit more through what that involves and
Hmm.
the how that works with the body as well as with the mind.
Okay, so what I've been learning for the last, let's say, 20 years, at some point you have to share it. So it's good to share. So I do it through the courses. I teach other people so that um, the knowledge has to be passed on.
Yeah.
So this is I do two kinds of courses when I teach them. One can be an intensive course, especially when people are coming from outside, which is what is going to be in August. And sometimes I do over weekends when it's more local people, spread it around for a few weeks then.
And do you do
So,
them in both Portuguese and English?
yes, I can do them in both Portuguese and English, depending on who the people are. So,
And how did you come to
hmm.
this journey of yoga and Ayurveda and body work?
Okay. Well, I was born in Mozambique, but when I was 12 or 13 years, we went to India um, to continue our studies, and because in Mozambique the situation economical and political was not very good.
Yeah.
So when I was, I think, 15 years old, I don't know, I can't explain why, but I had an urge to go and learn yoga. So I just went, found a teacher, a school, because in India it was very common, still is very common, to have neighborhood places where people teach for free. You
Okay.
just go at 6 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 7 o'clock, but very early in the morning, and you can have free classes. In many neighborhoods in big cities, this happens a lot. So I found a place which actually was a cinema, not cinema, but a theater house. Nobody goes to theater at 6 a.m. So they just use the hall, the lobby of this theater. It's a huge space to give yoga classes. So I'm sure the authorities of the theater just provided space for free for a school somewhere in the neighborhood to send their teachers and give classes. So there was a few old people, a few sick people, and there was me, a kid. So everybody was curious, what's this kid doing here? I said, I want to learn yoga. Okay, so finally the teacher was very enthusiastic, and he would sit by me and give me private lessons and talk about
Okay.
philosophy. And that's how the whole world of yoga opened up for me. Because I didn't have an idea. Because when you speak of yoga, you only see a few postures. This looks like circus, and you think this is what yoga is. But no, yoga is a whole science of self-development.
Yes.
So then I came slowly come into contact with this science. There were not many books on yoga at the time, very few. So I had to go and search for information. I really had to dig for it. And it's very common that in India, the gurus come and give a week-long discourses on various spiritual books. It can be especially the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
Yeah, so I used to go and hunt them out and look at the paper every day for the events And the moment they would come, I am there, you know.
So you were really
this is how
passionate about it even
very
from a
much,
young age.
very much, very much. From the moment I found out that no, there is so much depth, there is a lot into it, and I need to find out, like who I am, what am I doing here, these
Okay.
kind of questions that people ask, you know.
Yes.
So that's how my journey began.
And how has it evolved into body work?
Yes, this came much later. I was already in Portugal. I was working in telecoms, a corporate field, but I had this, you have an inner itch that it's enough of this. I don't want to do this anymore. It doesn't make me happy anymore. I need to go into what I really love, into my mission that was to spread yoga first and foremost. And during this period, of course, I was able to somehow change, completely leave the corporate field, focus completely on holistic, on the internet, I should say, instead of the internet.
Internet, yes.
And at some point, I realized that I just went to do a course on shiatsu. Then I realized that I had, like a natural tendency for massage, that I was good at it.
Okay.
And this was like when my teacher said, in Japanese teachers, they don't speak a lot.
No.
And then when I finished, was like maybe 15 minutes of body work on him. And he said, so what do you do? And I said, oh, I work in telecoms. And he said, oh, what a pity.
Okay.
And that's all he said, But
It was enough for
so
you
it
to
was
think.
enough to get the
and-
message that, okay, I
yeah.
think what he's trying to say, that I'm good at this and I'm wasting my time doing the other thing. So that gave me even more motivation to go into different kinds of body work. So I didn't then progress further into shiatsu, though I did like a beginner and advanced course and I repeated them as well. But then I found Thai massage or Thai yoga massage and also the Ayurvedic massage. The Ayurvedic became important because of its connection to yoga. It's like a sister science, it really complemented well. And the Thai massage, which includes a lot of stretching, that also looks like yoga. And then, of
Okay.
course, then I found out that the origin of it is yoga and Ayurveda. So they're all connected, in a way.
Yeah.
So then I invested into that. Then I decided to focus only on these things, like the Thai massage, Ayurvedic body work, and yoga. These three areas. They combine each other, they complement, and they work as one unit.
They work
also.
together, they
Yeah,
work
yeah.
holistically.
Yeah.
You mentioned something that was quite interesting, that yoga is actually for the mind and Ayurveda for the body.
For the body, yes.
And yeah, I think that makes total sense, but nobody's ever said it so kind of simply, and
Yeah.
yes, it makes total sense.
Uh-huh.
But can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, I mean, look at the first sentence when Patanjali Rishi defines what yoga is. He says, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That means yoga is to stop the fluctuations of the mind. He doesn't talk about the body. In the whole of the Yoga Sutras, there are maybe 3 or 4 sentences, sutras, talking about asanas, about the physical posture. He speaks mostly for the mind. So this shows how yoga is for the mind. It's for the mind control.
It's for the mind control.
Yeah.
So is it saying that by having control over your body through asanas is expanding your mind, basically,
It's a preparation, you can say, to still the mind.
to still the mind?
Yes.
Why? Because it's focused on trying to push itself further? What is that process that happens, do you
What
think?
happens is when the body becomes very still, it gives space for the mind to quieten down, and
Okay.
it allows the breath to work.
It allows the breath
And
to
when
work.
the breath slows down, when you can slow down the breath or even stop it, this has a direct influence on the mind. Breath and the mind are connected very closely. We can, like if I'm agitated due to some situation, if I look at that moment how my breath is, it's not going to be like calm and deep and slow. It's going to be the opposite. So just as the mind affects the breath, we can use the breath to affect the mind, because we can't catch the mind, but I can catch the breath. And through that I can
Catch the mind.
catch the mind. So
Okay.
that's the connection. See?
Yes.
So ultimately it's for the mind. Because yoga, you can say, it focuses a lot on asanas, postures, which are meant to prepare for the breath work. And then the breath work is to influence the mind.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
Ayurveda comes into this to heal the body.
Yes, exactly. You have two components for Ayurveda. One is the preventive aspect. So normally, if you use Ayurveda and its principles in a preventive way, you won't get sick because you are in balance. But if you lose balance, then the other side of Ayurveda comes in. That is the curative part of Ayurveda.
So you work
Yeah.
with people through their doshas to help them
Yes, exactly.
heal
Bring
the
them in,
body, I guess.
yeah, to bring them into balance, you can say. Because
Okay.
Ayurveda is that's what basically it is about, is to have the doshas in balance
So
of the person. So
where would you start with yoga and then kind of work through your Ayurveda in terms of working through the body, or they are totally complementary and they need to work hand in hand?
so they are complementary, but you can use only one aspect. You don't need to use both.
Nice.
So I keep it free and very independent in a way.
Okay.
Yeah, but if people say, okay, I need a massage, I'm prepared for that. But if they want just yoga, that is also okay.
I know that in yoga they talk a lot about sharing your knowledge and doing a disservice if you're not actually helping people with that. What are your thoughts on that from where you came from, like having, this holistic background but working in telecommunications, and somebody kind of triggered you by saying, it's a pity, and was that easy for you to make that transition to become more visible in kind of, stepping into your path in a way and helping people? Was that something that came naturally to you, or?
Okay, so being in the corporate field was not making me happy anymore. No, I was like waking up and knowing that I have to go to work was already a pain,
Yeah.
a suffering. So I felt that the time has come, that the change is required. So then I changed completely, like from one day to another.
And was that like, how was that with the people that were in your life at the time? Was everyone very accepting of that, or was it quite strange for some people?
No, they were not accepting. They couldn't
Okay.
understand the decisions.
Okay.
I mean, in the later they accepted,
Yes.
but sometimes I still feel like, especially from the people closest to you, that I'm just wasting my life because I don't have a job. I don't have a proper
Career as
social
such.
setup.
Yeah.
So and I should be worry about my retirement plan. I said that God will take care of my retirement plan. Why should I be worried about that? Like I decided one thing when I changed. The first thing I decided was I had a health insurance. I cancelled it. Second thing, I decided not to worry about money because I said if God put me in this situation, He is going to be take care of me, and so I surrendered to His will. This was my like big thing, that okay. And since then I never worried about this until today. If you ask me how much I make at the end of the month, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't count. No, really, it's been like this.
But you're okay.
So,
You've eaten. You've got a food.
yes, exactly.
You've got a roof over your head, and
Exactly.
you're sharing. You're
Yeah.
sharing your
And
knowledge
then I'm
with
sharing
people.
this knowledge, which I think this ancient knowledge is so important
Yes.
that somehow we are losing this due to technology. So it needs to bring back. I mean, we need to go and reconnect to the inner net. Let's say, not
Yes,
the
to the
internet, but the
internet.
inner
I
net.
like that.
Yes. So that's what I do. I share what I share because it needs to. Um,
It needs to be
it needs to
shared.
be shared.
Yeah.
It needs to be shared. And that's my mission in a way, is to spread yoga not just from door to door, but also from shore to shore.
Okay. I
So,
like
yeah.
these sayings. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. That's lovely. And yes, so because the reason I ask about this, because I know for a lot of people, visibility, and I think coming away from the like preconceived notions of what your life should be, and it's always unfortunately the people that love us the most that
Yes.
we kind of have their expectations in mind, or maybe not even their expectations, what we think their expectations should be. And how does yoga work, or Ayurveda work to, how does it help you with these kind of issues?
Oh, it helped me a lot, especially to make me strong and keep my balance in my inner balance, so that I don't get carried away with situations that emotionally can upset any like normal guy.
Okay.
And that's what yoga is about. Yoga is about giving you this emotional stability. Yeah. Just the other day, there was a lecture from a lady. She's very popular. She's the motivational spiritual discourses from the Brahma Kumaris institution.
Okay.
And she spoke about we gain financial independence and blah blah blah, but have you gained emotional independence?
Yes.
And
That's
we have not.
interesting.
We are very dependent emotionally. And this is what yoga is about, is getting emotional independence.
And another thing you just mentioned was about surrender and
Yeah.
surrendering to the fact that you're not going to worry about money, that if you're
No.
put to do this, can
Yeah.
you like talk me through that
Yeah.
faith in a way?
Yeah, surrender here means like we all think that we are in control. You know, society makes us develop our ego, individual ego, right? And this is about letting go. I mean, we suffer because we have this ego,
Yes.
and it gets hurt all the time. And this is what it's about. It's about sublimating your ego, in this case, and you surrender to a higher will. It says what will be, like what he decides is the best option. You know? There is a guru who says that if you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plan. So we need to surrender because things don't go as we like, they will go as they are meant to.
As they are meant to go.
Yeah, so that's what surrender is. When I said I surrender, at that time, and I really did that. I said, okay, I'm not going to worry about like issues. What's going to happen is going to be the best option because that's what it's meant to
That's
be.
the path that
Yeah,
you've been taken on, without you
Yes.
trying to control everything,
Exactly.
with you just
Yeah.
literally surrendering
Yes,
and
yes.
allowing things to
Yeah.
take their course.
Yes.
And that also involves an amount of stopping to be in the conscious brain, no? Because when we're thinking all the time, that's when we start building up fears about these
Yes.
about surrendering,
Yes.
basically. Do you have any techniques or tips that you can mention that might help people with those fears that stop them from surrendering?
Oh well, yeah, I can.
I'm sure there's loads of them.
There is a lot of things that can be done.
Yes.
But I would suggest people who, first of all, they should just go and start to do a bit of yoga. Even if they start a half an hour class 2-3 times a week, it's going to gradually strengthen them from inside, and this is what will help them to keep their balance when there is a crisis, an emotional crisis, let's say. But if you need some like instant, just watch your breath.
Watch your breath.
Watch your breath. Anytime, go back to your breath. And then you come back to your center. So that's one thing that's fundamental, it's very important, and rarely people do it. We just assume the breaths, we take it for granted.
Yes.
Because it's given to us, we breathe, we don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
So we ignore it completely. No, we need to make friends with the breaths. Because the breath teaches us a lot about how we are, what we are, and how we can use the breath to change also. Yeah.
Yes.
And it just requires centering yourself into the breath again. I have a book actually that I wrote. I wrote 2 books in Portuguese.
Okay. In
One
Portuguese.
Yeah, they're in Portuguese because they were for Portuguese editors. One is on mudras, the science of the gestures. Like everybody does this, but they don't know why.
Yeah.
So there is a reason why we do it.
Yes.
It's connected with the brain, of course. And the second book is on pranayama, and so that's the breathing science of yoga. And in the cover page somewhere, I took an inspiration from somebody who used to write that if you want to live 100%, you need to breathe 100%.
Okay.
Not 80 or 60 or 40, But we normally breathe just to survive.
Yes.
The majority of people breathe to survive. They don't breathe consciously, not breathe fully. So we don't live life fully if we don't breathe fully. I did a post-graduation in pranayama from one of the foremost yogic institutions in India.
Okay.
So basically, people think that they have to breathe down here in the stomach, and that's considered a good breath. That is a good breath when you're in your normal day-to-day routine, but it is not a yogic breath.
Okay.
And this is where people confuse that this is the yogic breath. And then they confront me when I say, no, that is not how you breathe. I say, but this is how we learn. because they learned from somebody who learned from somebody who learned from somebody who taught them this is the way to breathe. But they never questioned if this was comfortable or this is how you breathe or how do you make it deeper. But the way to breathe in yogic breath, suppose if you are practicing pranayama, actually it's more up here. Of course it goes down there, but it begins here. You start expanding this area. In fact, to start breathing, you have to compress a little bit your stomach.
Okay.
And then you start from here. It's like a balloon, you know. If this is the mouth of the balloon, if I start filling it up, where is it going to start filling up?
Here.
Here, not down there.
Yeah.
So when you fill this up, and then it opens a tunnel, more space for the air to go down there. So your capacity increases by 30% when you breathe like this. And normally people don't. They start breathing here, and when they fill it up, there is a constriction, actually. And you cannot breathe anymore.
Okay.
And people think they've taken a very deep breath, but because they've never done otherwise.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because if you're not getting your breath right from the beginning, then it's affecting everything else you do.
Yes. So this way you really deepen your capacity.
So is this like diaphragmic breathing, would you call it?
You can call it diaphragmatic, yes, because you breathe here. To breathe here, you need to, of course, your diaphragm works all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how you do it. If you look at, for example, Leslie Kaminoff, one of the foremost authorities in anatomy of yoga, and he learned from the school from where I did my training.
Okay.
And if you look at, what's the Belgian guy's name? I forget.
You can let me know. I can always add it into the comments.
Yeah. And this is also comes from the Krishnamacharya tradition. The way to breathe correctly is this is the way. This is the way they teach. So I'm not like making up things. But, but this when I learned, I said, what? Let me try, let me see. And it makes a difference. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the breath is the most important.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we need it, of course.
Uh-huh.
Okay, lovely.
And I can tell you a bit about mudras.
Yes, actually.
Just so we know, you know how the effect of mudras is on your body, on your breath. Suppose if I keep my hands like this, and then you just breathe normally. If you take a couple of breaths, okay, you notice how far it goes, you know, or how much effort is required. And then all you do is turn the palms to face up. And don't change anything else. And then feel what difference it makes in your breathing.
It feels more open.
Totally, and more relaxed, and you get a deeper breath with less effort.
Just from this alone?
Just by changing this to this.
Why? See? Is this because you're closed? You're sending the energy back into the body?
This is the effect of mudras, you can say. This is a mudra, but yes, it has this effect. Yeah. I can share with you another. Suppose, you know, we see all the images, always we see somebody sitting in meditation, their hands are like this.
Yes.
And they keep it and they sit. But has anybody ever questioned why you keep the hand like this, you know?
It's the connection.
Yeah, like what connection? Yeah, this is what people say, that this is like the, you know, universal soul, this individual soul, and you connect them, blah blah. This is very nice on an esoteric level, but on a physical level, you know, each finger is connected to an element.
Okay.
And this is the science of mudras. So when we connect these two, this is going to have an effect on the mind, of balancing, relaxing the mind, of helping it to focus and concentrate, and improves memory also. So when you do this, actually you enhance the effects of meditation practice.
So which elements are you connecting here?
So this is connecting fire and air. Then there is space, and then earth and water. These are the 5 elements. So there is whole science of mudras that is brought down from Shiva himself. It does help a lot.
I think I was shown this mudra, which are these two connected, and this was, I was told for grounding, to ground myself.
Because it's the earth element.
The earth element.
That's why it's good for grounding.
So I'm bringing my fire down with the earth element.
Yeah, you're binding the fire is like a catalyzer, and then you are actually, what you are doing here is to keep a check on the earth element. So you are actually increasing it, you can say. So that helps you ground more. Suppose if you do this, it has opposite effect.
Ah, okay, that's
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
And is that the same with all the mudras? If you move like this one, if
Yes,
you
it-
went like this, are you
Yeah, yeah.
creating an opposite effect? Would you ever have a
Yeah.
reason to use?
Oh yeah, this is very good, especially if you want to slim.
If you want to slim,
Yes, yes, because here you reduce the earth element and increase the fire element.
so
in
it
a
will
way.
digest food,
So it's very good
or
for
increasing
yes,
your
yes.
metabolism.
Yes, exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Whenever I
good to
teach this
know.
whenever I teach this in my retreats, and then usually it's women, and they joke, okay, now we are going to eat
Yeah.
like we are going to eat like this, So
Gonna stay
so
like this
yeah,
for
yeah,
30 days.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like that,
Lovely.
I have a whole book on the science of mudras, which I learned in India.
Okay, that's lovely.
Okay.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk me through all of this. It's so interesting, and I could spend a lot more time
Yeah.
asking you a lot more questions.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Is there anything else? So you're doing a retreat in August?
I'm doing a yoga course the massage course in August. I have a retreat in September in Algar, in Alentejo.
Okay.
1 week retreat.
Is that a yoga retreat?
Yes,
Okay.
yoga retreat. I do that every year. And then I have in the end of September another in Holland.
In Holland. Okay.
Yeah, for now, this is what's planned. So.
All right, lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So if anyone resonates with Atul's ideologies and his methods and practices, feel free to contact him and join one of his retreats somewhere. And yes, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you today.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
And thank you to all of you. You're welcome to contact me and join any of my programs when you wish.
Thank you, and I will put all the links in the comments for everybody so that you can find Atul's page and his contact details. Okay, thank you.
Great.
Bye.
Okay, bye.